In this video, we're going to look at how we can update items that are stored in the DynamoDB table. If you haven't already seen parts 1 to 3 of the AWS DynamoDB series, you can find the links in the description below. They covered creating a DynamoDB client, then creating a table, followed by adding and getting items from our table. Just a reminder, I love getting feedback, so feel free to comment on this video below. Okay, so before we get started in creating our update route, we are actually going to add another parameter to our put items. We are going to add a price. We're doing this because it makes more sense for our update to say update a price of something. So we're just going to add that property now. Let's go to our put item. And we're just going to go down the chain, adding price everywhere. And we're going to add it in as a double, and double will allow us to add cents. There's definitely a number of places that we need to do. We need to add this in here, but we're almost there. Right, this is going to be the column that's going to be added into Dynamo. Great, we'll save that, we'll run it, and now we'll add a couple of entries into our Dynamo table. Let's have a quick look now. As you can see, there's nothing in our Dynamo table. Hello to Postman, and we want to add a couple of items, let's say $30.50. Add that, and we'll add one more at $40. Save. Head back to our Dynamo table, hit refresh. Now we have a couple of items. We also have the column price. Price is going to be the column that we're going to update with our newly created update controller. Okay, so let's get started with creating a controller, an update controller. And we're going to say route, as we've always done before. And we're going to say update item. We're just going to put the attribute HTTP post up here as well. Put, sorry. It's going to tell us that it's a put. Public async iAction controller is going to be our return type, as per all the other controllers. And we're going to pass it in a parameter from the query string. We'll mark out int nullable. Actually, we will not make our int nullable. We want to make sure that int our ID is passed in. Okay, and potentially with an update, we could either get a response back or not. We could just assume that it's worked. But what we want is a response back in this case, so that we can confirm that the price change has actually occurred. We're using async, so we're going to say wait there. And we're going to say update item dot update and pass it in the ID and the price. And then when it's all finished, we'll repass back an OK response with our response in there. Great. Now we'll create our classes. We need to create some classes and an interface, an update item interface and class. So let's declare it at the top here. First, whoops, struggling to type. Update item. and we'll initialize it in our constructor. Great. Now we can go ahead and create our classes. Whoops. Just going to rename that quickly, sorry, to update item because that wasn't an interface. And now I'll create the interface. And from our update item, I'll just inherit the interface. My update item. Great. Head over to the startup class because we want to make sure that we've injected our update item. Fantastic. Okay. Let's go back to our controller, make sure that that has worked correctly. Because my rename before, it's renamed my update item here. Right, so now we don't have a method inside our update item. So that's what we want to do next. So let's head along to our update item and start creating a few things. So here, like the other actions that we created, we are going to create a method that's going to call off to a request builder, and then we're going to call off to the actual updating the result. So let's create that first method here, and our return is going to be an item, which is the model that we created in the get item. We'll talk a bit more about that later soon. Okay, so we want it to be passed in the ID and price. Var response equals await. Okay, so here what we want to actually do is get the item first, because what we need to do is get the current price that we want to change it from before we actually change it to our new price. So we're going to have to call our get item that we created in part 3. So let's pull in the get item class using dependency injection here. Get item. Initialize it in a constructor, and now we have access to it. Fantastic. So, carry on. We're going to use link here to grab the price out of the get item response. The get item response that we get back is the Dynamo Table items, and that's a collection. So if we say P, we haven't actually added the price to our models here at this point, so let's head along to our get item, and let's move these into a separate model class because we want to access it from two different places. So we'll create a new folder here called models, and I'm going to use Resharper to help me here. So Control-Shift-R, and I'm going to say move to another file. I'll head back to our items, Control-Shift-R, and we'll move that also into another file. Now that's put it into the DynamoDB folder, but we actually want to move it into the models. So again, I'm going to use Resharper, Control-Shift-R, and we'll move to another folder. And we'll say models, and we'll move that along. And our last one, which was our Dynamo Table items, and we'll move that along. Now, of course, you don't have to use Resharper. You could just, copy and paste or drag and drop, and then update the namespaces as you please. Okay, let's have a quick look here, make sure that everything is still intact and everything can read. Fantastic, our get item looks fine. Heading back to our update. Now, what we need to do is add a price to the model we've got here. So let's say prop, double tab, and that will give us the main thing. We'll say price, and we're going to have a double as the type. Okay. So now we should actually have, instead of ID, we want to get back the current price, so fantastic. Back into our get item, we also want to change a few things so that when we get the item, we're actually going to get back the price. So where do we need to, we add it down into the projection expression here. We need to also add it into our mapper so it actually maps correctly. Price equals, we need to convert it. And it's of type N from Dynamo. Excellent. So that now when we call the get from our update item, we should be able to get the current price back. Okay, so the price that we want to get back is going to be a first or default. And let's also get the reply date time. Now we're getting the reply date time there, storing in the reply date time variable. And we want to call off to the request builder now. We don't have the method quite yet, but we will pretend it's there and create it in 2 seconds. We want to pass in the ID, price change, the price, the current price, and the reply date time. Okay, so let's create that request builder method now. Our return type is going to be update item request. There it is there. Cool. Okay, so let's just start writing out the request. And our request builder and what we're putting into this is much like what we did for our put items and get items. We can build up a key. And our first key is going to be the ID that we have in our table. We'll toString that. Just making sure I've got all of the syntax correct here. Very easy to miss a curly braces or something. New attribute. This is all getting stored into our dictionary, our key dictionary. And apply date time. So those keys are our range and hash key that we have stored in our database, in our Dynamo database that is. Now let's do the expression attribute names. And we're going to create another dictionary for that, or store them in the dictionary. I'll just line that all up correctly. And now we're going to create our expression attribute values. So no price. N equals price change, or price, sorry. It's going to be our price that we're going to change to. I've got to put quotes around there, so let's do that quickly. N for number, current price, .toString. Okay, that's looking all good. Now we'll say update expression. And this is where it's going to set the new price. So we'll say set for our variable P equals new price, which we've set above in our expression attribute values. And condition expression, which is going to grab our current price. And that's a condition expression which only allows the update to happen if our current price is correct, is what we got back from the previous get above up here. Table name equals table name. Let's check in our table name above here, so we can use it in other places if we need. And table name. And our table name that we're using is temp DynamoDB Table. And back down here, we should be able to call that table name. Give it all in there. Fantastic. We are almost there with building up our request. So return values equals all new. So this will give me all the attributes of the updated item. And return request. Awesome, so that's all looking good for building up our request, ready to pass it on. So let's continue on building up the update method. So now we want to var result equals the weight, because we're going to use async. Update item async is the method we're going to call, and we're going to pass it in the request. Let's build that method. Okay, so we do actually want a return type on this, say async task, and we'll pass back the update item response. Excellent. Just because we want to make sure that when we do the update that we know the update has been successful by viewing the results. We could pass in a void here and just do the update. Dynamo client that we haven't actually pulled in yet, update item async, and the request return response. Right, let's pull in our DynamoDB client. Public read only. Amazon interface, Amazon DynamoDB interface, and we're going to call it DynamoDB client. Cool, and we'll initialize that in a constructor. What have we got here? Oh, it can be made read only, sure. Right, if I name this incorrectly down here, yes I have. Okay, so syntax error. Fantastic, it's all looking correct. Not that it matters, but I'm actually just going to put this method down below so it runs in some kind of order. Okay, so going back up to our update method. What do we need to do now? We now need to map the results that we're getting back from our update item async. We're going to get back an update item response, but we want to put that into a model that we know about. So let's say new item, and that item is, if we have a quick look, is our model that we created in a previous get item, and that contains the ID, reply date time, and price. So we'll map that the update item request into that, update item response into that. First we're going to have to convert our dot to int 32, yes, pull in this using statement, and result dot attributes ID, and it's a number. Cool, let's do that for the rest of them. Let's get rid of this unused using statement up here. Okay, so that is all looking good. Let's save it and build it. Build failed. Where's the error list? Let's go back to our controller and see what, here we are. Update item does not contain definition for update or no extension method. Right, okay, because we haven't actually added to our interface yet. Yeah, right. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to use resharper here and Control-Shift-R on the update item and say pull members up. Set public. Next, let's have a look at update item. Boom, it's in there now. Let's try and rebuild that again. I haven't cut this out because I think it is good to show you kind of debugging processes as we go along. So I'll try not to cut out, any kind of useful tips and things on how I debug and look at issues. Build succeeded. Excellent. Okay, so let's run it. And we're going to use Postman to test out if our update works. First of all, let's use the get that we created in our previous module to have a look at what the current price is. So the current price is $35.45. Right, so we're going to update that to $105.55. So let's run the update. We've got the reply back with the status code of OK, and the price is 105.55. Make sure that you have selected put as the action here and not get, otherwise it won't work. Let's head back to our get and let's confirm. Excellent, that price has changed. And one last thing, let's check in our DynamoDB table in AWS console. We'll just refresh that and you can see that that price has been updated. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please remember to hit like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep up with all my latest YouTube tutorials.